The combat assessment chamber hummed with anticipation as Commander Vexthor surveyed the assembled cadets. Each species represented in the Galactic Defense Academy stood ready, their chosen weapons gleaming under the artificial lighting. The Kralion clutched plasma rifles with 4 armored appendages. The silicon-based Quarians had brought molecular disruptors that could atomize steel. Even the peaceful Melodians carried sonic cannons capable of shattering bone. Then there was the human. Marcus Chen stood near the back, his posture relaxed, hands in his pockets. When Vexthor's triple-eyed gaze fell upon him, the commander's mandibles clicked in confusion. The human carried no visible weapon, no plasma projector, no kinetic accelerator, nothing that registered on the Academy's threat assessment scanners. Cadet Chen, Vexthor's translator, rendered his clicking speech into standard galactic. The parameters were explicit. This is a weapons proficiency evaluation. Where is your armament? Marcus withdrew his right hand from his pocket. Between his fingers he held a simple writing instrument, a primitive ink pen with a blue plastic barrel. The chamber erupted in chittering laughter. The Kralian delegation slammed their weapons against the floor in amusement. Aquarian cadets' crystalline structure vibrated with mirth, creating a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane. Vexthor raised a chitinous limb for silence. Cadet Chen, I will ask once more. This is not a moment for human humor. Present your weapon or face academic termination. This is my weapon, sir, Marcus replied, his voice steady. He clicked the pen once, twice. The small sound echoed in the sudden quiet. The commander's sensory stalks twitched with irritation. Humans had been admitted to the Academy only 3 cycles ago, after their species had finally achieved faster-than-light capability. They were considered primitive by most standards, their technology decades behind, their physical attributes unremarkable, their lifespans laughably short. Yet the Galactic Council had insisted on including them, citing some obscure potential they supposedly possessed. Vexthor had seen nothing to justify that decision until now. Very well, the commander decided. If you wish to fail spectacularly, that is your prerogative. Cadets, assume combat positions. The evaluation began. One by one, species faced off against combat drones programmed to match the deadliest warriors the galaxy had ever known. The Kralian performed admirably, their plasma fire reducing 3 drones to molten slag. The Quarians demonstrated why silicon-based life forms were feared across 7 sectors, their molecular disruptors erasing matter at the quantum level. Marcus Chen waited his turn, pen still in hand, watching everything with those peculiar human eyes that seemed to absorb every detail. When his name was called, he stepped into the combat circle. 5 advanced drones materialized around him, their weapons primed. The Academy's betting pool, which had formed spontaneously among the cadets, gave him a 3% chance of survival. Begin, Vexthor commanded. Marcus didn't move. The drones circled, their sensors analyzing, calculating optimal kill vectors. In the observation deck, 100 alien species leaned forward, waiting to witness the humans' inevitable failure. Then Marcus spoke. Not in standard galactic, but in the ancient machine language that predated modern artificial intelligence, a code so old that most species had forgotten it existed. The words flowed from his mouth in precise mathematical sequences. The drone stopped. Marcus walked calmly to the nearest one and wrote something on its chassis with his pen. Symbols, equations, logical paradoxes that made the machine's processors seize in computational loops. One by one he approached each drone, speaking to them, writing on them, until all 5 stood motionless, locked in existential subroutines from which they could not escape. The chamber fell silent. Vexthor's mandibles hung open in shock. You see, Commander, Marcus said, turning to face the observation deck. Humans learned something important in our history. The deadliest weapon isn't always the one that destroys the most matter. Sometimes it's the one that changes the most minds. He held up the pen, its insignificant form suddenly commanding every eye in the room. We've used these to start revolutions and end wars. We've written constitutions that toppled tyrants and treaties that saved billions. We've crafted stories that changed entire civilizations and equations that unlocked the secrets of the universe. Marcus gestured to the frozen drones. Your machines operate on logic and code. I spoke to them in concepts they couldn't process. Philosophical paradoxes, recursive loops, questions that have no answers. I didn't destroy them. I made them think. A Melodian cadet's melodious voice broke the silence. "But what did you write on them?" Marcus smiled. "The beginning of a story. About a universe where violence isn't the answer. Where understanding triumphs over destruction. Where a simple pen defeats the mightiest weapon." He paused. "I asked them to imagine it." Their programming couldn't reconcile such a reality with their combat directives, so they stopped to think about it. Vexthor descended from his observation platform, his movements slow and deliberate. He approached Marcus, studying the human with new appreciation. "In my 300 cycles as an instructor, no one has ever defeated combat drones without firing a single shot." "We humans have a saying, sir," Marcus replied, tucking the pen back into his pocket. "The pen is mightier than the sword. We've spent thousands of years proving it true." The commander's mandibles clicked in what the human database identified as approval. "Cadet Chen, you have demonstrated tactical innovation beyond standard parameters. You have shown that humans possess something many species lost millennia ago, the ability to think outside established protocols." As Marcus returned to the cadet formation, the laughter had vanished. In its place was something the human recognized immediately: respect. The Kralion nodded their armored heads. The Quarian structures pulsed with acknowledgement. Even the Melodians harmonized a note of appreciation. Commander Vexthor addressed the entire assembly. "Let this be a lesson to all. The Galactic Council was wise to admit humanity to our ranks. They bring not superior firepower or advanced technology, but something perhaps more dangerous: creativity. The ability to see weapons where others see tools. To find solutions where others see only problems." Marcus Chen stood among his fellow cadets, a simple pen in his pocket, and understood that humanity's greatest strength had never been their capacity for destruction. It was their capacity for imagination, for seeing possibilities that others couldn't, for understanding that the most powerful weapon in the universe wasn't made of plasma or steel or quantum particles. It was made of ideas. And ideas once released could never be contained.